The mind is one of the most powerful tools a human being possesses. But like any powerful tool, it must be guided. If you allow it to run freely without awareness, it will create endless worries. But when you learn to observe your thoughts, something remarkable happens. You begin to realize that many of the problems that once felt overwhelming were never truly real. They were stories created by a restless mind. And once you understand that, you gain something incredibly valuable. Freedom. The freedom to choose which thoughts deserve your attention. The freedom to place the heavy cup down. And the freedom to live with a quieter, clearer mind. If this message spoke to you, consider supporting the channel by subscribing and sharing it with someone who may need it. Because learning to master the mind is not just self-improvement. It is one of the most important life skills a person can develop. And sometimes, the greatest peace comes not from solving every problem, but from realizing that some of them were never real to begin with. Part 1, The Story of the Cup. Many years ago, a traveler visited a small village known for a teacher who was said to understand the human mind better than most scholars. The traveler had come a long way, and when he arrived, he looked exhausted. He told the teacher that his life had become overwhelming. His work caused him stress. His relationships created worry. Even when things were going well, his mind refused to relax. He explained something that many people quietly experience. Even when there is no problem, he said, my mind finds something to worry about. The teacher listened carefully but did not respond immediately. Instead, he walked into another room and returned with a simple cup of tea. He handed the cup to the traveler and asked him to hold it. The traveler held it easily. It was light, warm, and comfortable. Then the teacher said, "Hold it for 5 minutes." The traveler did so. Still easy. Then the teacher said, "Hold it for 10 minutes." Now his arm began to feel slightly tired. Then the teacher said, "Hold it for 30 minutes." The traveler's arm began shaking. Finally the teacher asked a question. "What became heavy? The cup or the time you held it?" The traveler understood immediately. The cup had never changed. But the longer he held it, the heavier it became. The teacher then explained something simple but profound. Your thoughts behave the same way. A small problem may appear during the day. Perhaps someone says something slightly negative. Perhaps you make a small mistake. Perhaps an uncertain situation appears. At first, the problem is small. But the mind begins to hold it. You replay the conversation again and again. You imagine what people might think. You create future scenarios that have not happened. Hours pass. The mind keeps gripping the problem. Soon the emotional weight becomes enormous. But the problem itself may not have changed at all. It was the mind holding it that made it heavy. This is the hidden habit of many people. They carry thoughts the same way someone carries a heavy cup for hours. Eventually, their mental energy collapses under the weight. And they believe life itself is the problem. But often, it is simply the mind refusing to let go. Part 2, Why the Mind Does This. To understand why this happens, we must understand something about the human brain. The mind you carry today was shaped thousands of years ago. Our ancestors lived in environments where danger was constant. Predators, harsh weather, rival tribes, and unpredictable conditions meant survival depended on one thing: anticipating problems before they happened. A person who noticed danger early survived. A person who ignored potential threats often did not. So the brain evolved to constantly scan for risk. It learned to imagine worst-case scenarios in order to stay prepared. This ability was extremely useful in the ancient world. But in modern life, the environment has changed dramatically. Most people are no longer surrounded by physical threats. Yet the brain continues to search for problems. If it cannot find a real danger, it will create one. It will analyze conversations. It will imagine future conflicts. It will invent possible failures. Your mind believes it is protecting you. But instead, it often traps you in unnecessary worry. This is why some of the most intelligent people struggle with overthinking. A powerful mind can imagine endless possibilities. But without discipline, that imagination becomes anxiety. One thought leads to another. What if this goes wrong? That thought leads to another. What if people judge me? Then another. What if I fail completely? Soon the mind is running through dozens of imagined scenarios. None of them are real. Yet the body reacts as if they are. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tighten. Your mind feels restless. But the danger exists only in thought. The mind has confused imagination with reality. And until a person learns to observe this process, it continues endlessly. This is why some people live in constant stress while others remain calm even in difficult situations. The calm person is not free from problems. They simply understand something important. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every thought deserves attention. Part 3: Training the Mind. The good news is that the mind can be trained. Just as the body becomes stronger through exercise, the mind becomes calmer through awareness and discipline. The first step is learning to recognize thoughts without immediately believing them. Most people assume that every thought in their mind must be important. But that is not true. Thoughts appear automatically. Some are useful. Many are not. When a stressful thought appears, pause for a moment. Ask yourself a simple question. Is this a real problem? Or a mental story? This question creates distance between you and the thought. You begin observing your mind instead of being controlled by it. The second practice is grounding yourself in the present moment. The mind often lives in two places: the past and the future. It replays past events or imagines future disasters. But peace exists in the present moment. Right now. Right here. Take a slow breath. Look around you. Notice the environment you are actually in. Often you will realize that in this exact moment, nothing is wrong. The storm exists mostly in the mind. The third practice is learning when to release thoughts. Not every problem needs to be solved immediately. Some situations resolve themselves with time. Others are simply not worth carrying. Strong minds know when to act. But they also know when to let go. Imagine placing the heavy cup back on the table. Your arm relaxes instantly. The same happens with your mind. When you stop gripping unnecessary thoughts, your mental energy returns. Calmness appears naturally. Clarity returns. And life begins to feel lighter. The mind is one of the most powerful tools a human being possesses. But like any powerful tool, it must be guided. If you allow it to run freely without awareness, it will create endless worries. But when you learn to observe your thoughts, something remarkable happens. You begin to realize that many of the problems that once felt overwhelming were never truly real. They were stories created by a restless mind. And once you understand that, you gain something incredibly valuable. Freedom. The freedom to choose which thoughts deserve your attention. The freedom to place the heavy cup down. And the freedom to live with a quieter, clearer mind. If this message spoke to you, consider supporting the channel by subscribing and sharing it with someone who may need it. Because learning to master the mind is not just self-improvement. It is one of the most important life skills a person can develop. And sometimes, the greatest peace comes not from solving every problem, but from realizing that some of them were never real to begin with.